guys, BBI here. I want to stop and say thanks for tuning in and checking out whatever the video is about that's about ready to come up next. If you could take a minute and hit subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you enjoy what you've seen here, make sure to hit the like button. We'd greatly appreciate your support. Anyhow, guys, all that aside, let's get on with the show. Gentlemen, ladies, and fine doll hair molesters amongst you all, this is a train to drive an 8. I'm not the only technician that's been in this thing, apparently. But this thing showed up here and I went, oh God, no. And he says, well, what do you want to do? I said, man, honestly, I want to rip the whole thing apart and I want to do something different. He says, do it. So the nice thing about this hunk of amplifier is it is solid heatsink. It's a lot of freaking metal underneath these 8 transistors. But once again, it's putting all the pressure just down a couple of the fins. So we are going to do ourselves a complete unfuckery of this deal here. By the time we're said and done, there'll be nothing left of this cabinet. We will reuse the input transformers, the transistors, and the relay, and maybe the tuning tube. The rest of this stuff into the F-it bucket. I'll probably scavenge the heatsink for something I might want to use it for in the future, but after that, the rest of this old girl is going in the trash can. This is built in somebody's garage back way in the day, and it's seen many, many years of use. But I think I could beat on this aluminum and pound on it, and I don't think it would be really worth putting that much energy into. So we are going to go, and we're going to redo this completely. There's so much here that there's nothing supporting this. There's no tuning tube. This is a wrong style of coax for here. Variable's all busted. There's just a lot that's not right. So we'll probably keep these capacitors because they're fairly expensive, but the rest of this is just going to go in the goodbye can. So, on that note, let's strip it down. Train 2x8 Pro Gold Series. Let's redo this. I'll be back. So, I filed the XS10 in the appropriate place and I was sitting there filing off what was left of the pop rivets that they held the board together with. And I was pulling the side, they put pop rivets up here on the side to hold the thing in place. I'm sitting there looking at the heatsink. I wonder how long that thing's been wandering around inside that amplifier. What is this? What is the actual tap? This is a tap, man. It is a 1/4 20. It's made in the USA, so it's actually made of good steel. Made in the USA. Wow, that's an old tap. Not made of Chinesium. You know, softest substance on earth, Chinesium steel, according to AVE. Alright, well, I got the hunk of heatsink out of here, which I'm probably going to keep. This is all that's left of the board. That's it. We'll remove these transistors here in this next little segment, and here's the amount of ferrite that we're saving. This stuff over here and the rest of it's all gone in the trash can because it's worthless. So here's the total amount of parts that we're going to reuse into the next box, plus the transistors. A tap running around in a file, that's priceless. Okay. This next little bit's pretty important. Let's slow down here. So there's $1,000 in just these parts that are right here in front of me. So I try to, I'm not always successful because sometimes I forget, but I try to always show when I'm doing a rebuild like this, me taking the components out of the box and testing them from end to end. And you ask yourself, why is that? And it's called accountability. See, the whole reason I'm so busy is because I got accountability. If you send me your amp, you know you're going to get yourself one of these cutesy little YouTube videos that's showing me working on your box. And it's not just some blind little, oh, I sent it off to him and he said it was working. And see, people don't want that anymore. They want to be able to see it. They want to see what you're doing. They want to see all the steps of the process. They want to, people want to be a little bit more actively involved in watching their equipment get worked on. Especially nowadays, since the components are getting so stinking expensive. I mean, I got $1,000 worth of this man's money in my hands right now with these parts. So I try like hell to always show, beginning to end, this portion of the video of me taking the parts out. That way everybody knows what they got. I don't have any 10 ohm smoke that's been let out of this thing yet, obviously yet. But this box is in such rough condition that I don't really know what I've got for components. And I'd rather be able to go back to them and say, well, man, you had a couple bad pills. So the amount of money that I quoted you to do this job is going to be a little bit more. And if you don't believe me, here's the video. Go ahead, go watch it. And here's me taking your parts out of your box and testing them beginning to end. Just like in that last video I just did. Them pills were rough. They've had a hard life. Those transistors have had themselves a hard life. So I had to cut away on a lot of the segments just so I could clean up the bench and do different things, get the test equipment out that I need. That's the owner of the amp. I just sent him all the pictures of me taking this thing all the way apart. This guy has been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for me to do this build. And I got a whole room full of projects just like this one. Hey, can you take my old beat up box and turn it into one of them shiny, spanky, pretty new gems that you make? I can, but it's not going to happen in a timely manner. This is a very time consuming process. The thing is, there's no windows, it's like you can't see the sun go up and come down as I'm over here working. So I spend most of my day talking on the phone, then I spend my evenings actually able to do the work. And it's not like a regular business. A lot of people have a hard time getting that in their head. It's not like getting on Amazon or eBay and buying something, And you ask me for an update. Well, how much longer? Honestly, I don't know, because you'd think after all these years I'd be able to go and, well, it's going to take me this amount of time to get something done. Well, look at the last 16 pill I worked on. It was a Skywalker box. I looked at that and went, oh, this shouldn't take me more than a day to do. And I spent 2.5 days on it, but I'm not going to sacrifice quality to try and make up quantity. That's just stupid. It's never worked. Ask the guys with the Blue Label how they like having the quantity over quality. It just doesn't work out. So, I've got 2 of these left. And then we'll immediately jump into testing the transistors as soon as they're out so we know where they're at. So these are 8 non-red dot. That means they've got the cancer-causing good old beryllium oxide in a foot. And it seems like I can't say that enough. Let me cover this too while I'm here talking about it. The only difference between a red dot and a non-red dot is the material makeup of the foot of the transistor, the base of it. The non-red dots contain a material that is known to cause cancer, not only in California, but pretty much worldwide. The good old beryllium oxide. Now, the only way it can cause cancer is if you somehow manage to ingest it into your body. Let's take a quiet minute, and let's look at this board. Please note it was missing all the 120 puff capacitors on the output side. It was missing a bunch of very vital components, and I don't understand why, if it went to another shop first, why they didn't pick up on that, or even notice that. There's no disk capacitors from the positive bus rail to ground whatsoever. None whatsoever. And there was one little single piece of ferrite on the positive rail going outside of the cabinet. Well, goodbye. So, there is no difference between the internal transistor structure between the red dot and the non-red dot. So let's just put that aside for now. So when your buddy says to you, oh man, there's huge modulation difference between the non-red dot and the red dot. No, there's not. The internal construction of the component, there's no difference whatsoever. 50. That, sir, is a good part. 50. Holy HFE gain. Cue thunder and lightning. In my opinion, the red dots actually work better than the non-red dots. 39. That's also a good transistor. The red dots actually conduct heat better, in my opinion, than the non-red dots. So they went through and they did a restructure on the transistor foot, and they made it so it doesn't have cancer-causing substances in it. Also 50. This is a good part. Wow, these transistors are in way better shape than the other bags of ass that I dealt with all this last week. 36. Those two need to go together. These two need to be together forever. See, while I'm testing and confirming, I'm also beta gain matching the transistors. I know this is nothing new, but I talk about it over and over and over again. I feel like a broken record. Gain of 33. Gain of 35. These two can live together forever. So your next question is, well, how low is too low of a gain? Well, they'll work all the way down to 1. As we know, will they stay working at 1? No. First time the transistor even gets a little bit over maybe 120 degrees, the transistor will fail. This one's got a gain of 38. With an HFE gain that low. The HFE gain is a very simple way of describing, the technical term, I understand it and I could recite it off to you, but it won't make sense to the normal person. If you haven't noticed, I've made a small, decent living for myself by being able to take complex things and dumb them down. Not dumb them down, but explain them in simple English with simple terms that the general public can understand. So I say a lot of things tongue-in-cheek. A lot. You know, it's woefully. Like I don't know there's a difference between woefully and willfully. Come on, you guys, play along. We all know better. So HFE gain, or your beta gain of the component, is a very simple way of showing and describing to us, the blind person, the layman, especially myself because I'm a functional retard, its ability to withstand heat and its ability to continue to do its job in its primary function of switching on and off. This has got a gain of 36. 33 and 35. This one's at 36. It's the wild card. Please note it's 9:15 at night. Right now. Closed 3 hours ago. Gain at 35. Eight good transistors, 2 good drivers. Gentlemen, on to the next step. Well, here we are. Old case is gone. New transistors are down. Or the old transistors are down onto a new copper board. New heatsink. This is a 16-pill cabinet enclosure. It's our power distribution bus, which we're going to run right up the middle. So we're going to take advantage and make sure we got enough cool heatsink on this end and enough cool heatsink on this end. We're going to split up the heat load 4 and 4. The guy drops on me tonight that he's going to try and use this as a competition box of some kind. So all that says to me is I need to add a relay lockout to this. So we do have a bunch of other eye candy goodie that we're going to put in here for fun, and it'll help it work just a little bit better, but now we're on the reverse side of this. So when I come back, the power distribution board will be coated in some good old lead tin. We'll have our distribution wires in and our output transformers in, and we'll probably have those wrapped, wound, and 10 ohmers on, 120 ohmers on, and then we're going to start adding eye candy to it. So I'm just going to cut away, and I'm going to sit here and work for the next few hours and just see how far along I can get this thing. I shall return. Well, I'm not going to lie to you. This came out pretty much the way I had this pictured in my head, with the extra parts that I decided to recycle and use, which was 12 parts, 12 whole parts. So, turned out okay, I guess. Can I lay this down like I was thinking in my brain? No, it'll be too close. I'm gonna have to go up and over. This is gnarled now. I don't like that. Yeah, go up and over with it. It's been a long day. Started at about 9 o'clock this morning, and it's now 4 o'clock in the morning. And I probably would have been able to get done with this if I wouldn't have spent most of my day on the phone. It's Friday. Fridays and Mondays are rough. The phone rings a lot. Everybody wants to know where we're at on what they're doing with their project. And I'm like, dude, am I working on it? You see me putting pictures up on Facebook? No. Oh, okay. Well, haven't touched it. Still sitting here. I'm running into a problem, you guys. I think I'm going to have to stop taking repair orders for a little while. I'm just physically out of room. Just don't have enough free floor space to store all this stuff anymore. And with every single box everybody's sending me, it's a giant bag of dicks. Like this. I mean, nothing is a straight pill change anymore. Everything's taken a great deal of time and a lot of work. But hey, I'm not bitching. Not bitching. Alright, let's throw some screws in this. And I'll show you guys what I've built this guy. I've only got a couple more parts I need to put in here, like the output tuning tube, the ground strap, and run 2 wires to turn the thing on and put the remote in it. It's actually technically ready to go. So, go down here and grab this pile of garbage. Let me show you. You guys can remember how ugly this was when we started. And this is what I built him. Just suck that in for a minute. Eight transistors I reused in the relay. And the output tuning tube is now on the input side. Everything else is new. Not teabag. And then I will hand tie this up, of course, and pull it up here out of the way. And then we'll hook up our coax connectors. Input combiners all new power wire, all new. Everything in here is new. All new. A little capacitor bank added to it. We're going to add a total of 4 high flow fans. I took a few minutes and I cut out the slots at the bottom because he's going to do this as a comp box. And I hand filed these corners so they're nice and round and square with a round asp in each corner. Nice and smooth. Get high velocity amount of air. We had to run the power wire up and around and over like this so we wouldn't obstruct the vent holes and the heat sinks. Everything's hand tied up the middle. New power distribution bus. Everything's new. Well, guys, it is 4:20 in the morning, a.m. I'm going to refile this in the deposit box down there. Oh yeah, I got to put my 10 puff key in capacitor here, and probably put the output tuning tube somewhere in here in the middle. That honestly does not look bad at all. All right, on to the next step. Let's see, do I got everything set? I think I do. Let's turn on the power supply down here. We're done, guys. We're completely wrapped up on this one. It's finished. And here are the 2 transistors that were left out of this build. I'm going to send them back with the amplifier in this bag. Okay? And they'll match the rest of the other transistors that are in here. My old boy that sent me this amp, I think he's really used to kind of getting screwed around by amp builders. And it's not that we've had the best track record, because he'd call me and be like, well, it's coming up, it's coming up, it's coming up, I'll get to it, I'll get to it. So I understand why he's being a little... He's like, where's my video? I want to see my video. I apologize, man. Publicly, I'm just going to say this right out front. I apologize. This took so long for me to get to and be able to get done. And if you could see, like, I don't ever show what's behind me over here on all the shelves. If you could see the quantity of equipment that I have here, and like your box here, I spent all day yesterday on it. A good hunk of today playing with it, making sure it's perfect. If you could see the quantity of work here and how long it takes to get through each one of these projects. Like your train built that you sent in to me, that we started with. I would never in my wildest dreams think about just, oh, let's beat the cabinet out straight and kind of polish that turd a little bit. That's not the representation of my work that I want. Where this is the thing I like to do, is take things like that and turn it into something beautiful like this. So I apologize it took so long to get around to. It did take us a little bit of time to get on the phone and get straight about what we wanted to do with the fans. These are the super high flow fans. And he wanted to have this thing set up as a comp style box, something he can ride around with and still talk on every day, but he wants to be able to go do shootouts with it. And I said, okay, cool. And so how that works out is we add this switch right here. Relay lockout. Let me explain to you what that does. So if this is down, that means the lockout is out. So when you turn the amplifier on, it's going to run like a regular box. Now when you go to do your shootout or whatever you want to do, you're going to flip this switch up. And what that does is it allows us to lock the relay into the transmit position. Now normally you use this little transistor and this capacitor, and it passes a little bit of current, charges the transistor, and it switches ground, so you have auto key function. When you go to the break, you got a bunch of guys keying up big watts. Well, if your box is left on and you're pulling up to the line and the guy in front of you goes and fires down to shoot out, your relay's back there in the box going bzzz, because it can hear the signal coming in from the antenna from everybody else's radios. It's charging this capacitor. The relay is opening and closing, and it's doing it at a really fast rate, because as soon as the relay breaks the electrical connection, the capacitor loses signal and it shuts the amp back down again. So it's sitting in there buzzing, and it'll blow up that switching transistor when you're at the shootout. So now a true comp shootout box wouldn't even have a relay in it at all. The on-off switches, they wouldn't do shit. The fans would just be there. So as soon as you plug the amp in, the fans are going to start running. So there'd be no buttons or switches or any of this crap up here in the front to tell you it's on or off or anything. Straight relay, coax connections would go directly to the coax connectors, and it would be on, because you'd want to eliminate this right here in a true comp box. But if you want to do a ride around, the closest that we can do is put a relay lockout in there for you. So when you go to shoot out, make sure to click that relay up, and it locks the relay down. It protects this transistor and keeps you from blowing it up. And then when you're ready to go ride around and go talk again, we're going to put that switch in the down position. Okay, so I don't have the fans hooked up at this moment because of noise. I didn't want you to have to sit here and listen to these fans going as I'm talking to you. We ran a ground lead over to the cabinet. We ran the hot lead off the switch over to the cabinet, the top lid. But these are connected, and we want to do that for a reason. If he's going to use this as a comp shootout box, he's only going to put maybe 1 or 2 screws down just to hold the lid in place. So when he goes up for inspection, all he's got to do is pop a couple screws real quick, flip the thing up so everybody can look inside, make sure he's running the legit transistors, and then boom, put the lid back down. I want to make sure that enough ground current goes from here on the board up here to the lid. So therefore, I don't have to worry about, well, man, the fans weren't working and I popped a couple pills because it got too hot. the fans are going to run if the screws are in there loose or if the screws are in there tight. These are lessons that we've learned over the few years I've been trying to build for these guys that do this stuff. So let's go over here, because I just got done testing this and I was headed down on the 5X, and that's where we're going to end up. So right now we have 1,000 watt slug in peak. So we're reading the bottom scale, adding a 0. 1,000 watt slug in average, bottom scale, adding a 0. 5 watt slug in reverse, back from the new Bird 10,000 watt dummy load. 50 watt slug between the 2-pill driver and the 8-pill box. Now we're going to start out with a 2-pill off, and we're just going to put 20 watts of drive in it. So let's go ahead and hit our lockout switch. Now watch what happens. The relay's not clicking. We're going directly into transmit mode. Okay, let's shut the amp off. Let me demonstrate what we're going to do for drive. About 10-15 watts worth of drive. Nothing over here. Okay. Turn the amp into transmit. We're going to hit the lockout switch. No big deal. Oh, wait a minute. I've got this dialed way down because I was playing with it at 200 watts. Let's turn the mic gain all the way up again. Let's bypass all this horse monarchy. 20 watts worth of peak drive. We're on 15 volts, 15.3 volts. My dead key is too low. So run our dead key up. Latched. Alright. With only 20 watts of drive, we're making 600 watts worth of peak power. Almost 700 watts worth of peak power. About 210 bird. Our input reflect is this. Look at this. It's non-existent. See how it's falling back? That's a 5 watt slug. Right here's 1 watt worth of reflect. We're at less than a half a watt worth of reflect, and it's falling back to 0.2 of 1 watt. Not teabag. And to get the relay to latch up, we are putting in just over a 2.5 watt dead key, which is perfect. Okay, so let's bring the 2-pill online. We're going to go up here and we're going to turn our dead key down so we don't overdrive our 2-pill. So we're going to end up at 400 watts. Let me turn the mic gain back down again. Turn the mic gain down some more. We're coming down in power. 200 watts worth of drive. Let's go ahead and turn on the lockout, or turn on the amplifier. It's a 1,000 watt slug in the corner and peak. Let's go up to 2X. Let me show you how to read the burn meter again, guys. So we all know right here on this hash mark right here is 1,000 watts, and over here in the corner is 2,000. Full deflection. Okay. 200 watts of drive. 2,000 watts. Let's look at our average numbers. 400 watts. And we're going to look at our voltage. It's on 14.95. That's when you're saying to yourselves, but BBI, that's not how this works in the real world. Yeah, you're correct. We've got it set at 15 volts for a reason. Let's look at our input reflect with 200 watts of drive. 2 whole watts worth of reflect. 2 whole watts worth of input reflect. Okay. Now let's drive this sucker up with 400 watts of power. Reach up here, turn the mic gain all the way up. Once again, demonstrate drive. Remember, we're in a 2x position, so it's going to come up somewhere around the 20 mark. About 410 watts worth of drive. 2 pills straight out. And that's from a 600 watt dead key going forward. 800 bird. And that's on a regular plain Jane radio. Not talking no hot rod shootout radio. We're talking everyday, everyman radio right here. Look at our voltage. Those are realistic numbers. 14.7 volts, that's the same that the average guy can get put together in his mobile. 14.7 measured on the inside of the box with these leads. We're making over 2,000 watts worth of peak power and almost 1,000 bird. So now that we've changed down to the 5x scale, we're reading that middle scale, the 10, the 20, the 30, the 40, the 50. We're adding 2 zeros. So with 400 watts of drive, we're making 2,500 watts worth of peak power in this box. So now let's get ready to turn this up a little bit. We're going to take our test leads and we're going to hook them up over here for our power. We're going to reach in here. We're going to take our positive wire for our fan. We're now going to hook that up. We're going to put our lid down. And the guy said he wanted the upgraded high flow fans. Well, brother, that's what you got. Let's turn our power supply back on. Now, don't be discouraged. You're going to have to remember that the microphone on the camera is literally going to be inches away from the fan for the rest of this test. There's only 3 feet between me and the box right now, and that's incredibly tolerable. So don't be too discouraged by the noise. Okay, so let's re-replicate our results. Okay, let's go ahead and max this thing out. What we're going to do is we're going to watch this voltmeter here. We're going to start cranking the volts up. Let's get on up there. Let's go to about 18 volts or so, 17.5 volts. And we're going to hit this thing pretty hard. About 3,000 in peak, 2,800 in peak at 17.36 volts. Remember, at the shootout, at the higher voltages, we want to engage that lockout switch. Okay, point proven. So now we're going to turn that off for our mental well-being. We're going to take this 5,000 watt slug, 5K, okay? Focus, you bastard. 5K. We're going to put it right here in the average hole. And now we're going to hook up the comp derail Cobra 29. Come right over here. Comp 29. And I know this because the label on it says derail Cobra 29. We're going to hook up the Cobra 29. We're going to turn our 2950 off. we're going to turn on the Cobra 29. We're going to come back over here. Let me switch hands. So our 5,000 watt slug. Remember, we're getting about 850 bird out of it. 5,000 watt or 1,000 watt and 5X. Our voltage level hasn't changed. Let's see what our max bird level is going to be. 1,800 bird, 1,900 bird. Same peak numbers. Look at our voltage now. It's at 16.5 volts. 1 BDI got down. Now, to make sure that I'm not messing with you, pull that 5,000 watt slug back out. I'm going to set it right here. I'm going to pick up the 1,000 watt bench slug and put it back in the hole. Pinned in the corner. Same peak watts. Same voltage drop. So let's repeat this test again. Same slug. Here's our 5,000 watt slug sitting right here. You all can clearly see. Pinned it in the corner. I'd say about 17 to 1,800 bird, very conservative. Remember, with a 5,000 watt slug, we're reading that middle scale, right, guys? So the 10 is 1,000, the 20 is 2,000. That thing, this derail comp radio, makes everything look like magic. And really, it's the radio and the amount of modulation that you can put into it. But I'm here to tell you, on 17 volts, this thing will make 1,900 bird and almost 3,000 watts peak out of these little 8 transistors. This is the RF coming in. It's going into this coax connector. And here's the RF coming out, going into the line sections. No magic. Just an incredibly well designed. Now, I don't know how well that train amplifier would have worked or would have not worked. I don't really care. I know I put a post up on Facebook last night and them guys were like, man, those train boxes were great. I don't know. I can only work with what I was given. There was obviously a couple other stickers and some names written on the inside. There's been several people that have been inside that amp over the years. I don't know if your 2x8 train box ever made 1,900, 1,800 bird on 17 volts. I don't know. I know with 20 watts of drive, this thing makes about 700 watts of power. With 200 watts of drive, it makes 2,500 watts worth of peak power and 850 bird. And that's on 14-ish volts. I know fully cranked out, we're seeing 2,800 peak watts and 1,800 bird, which is crazy. This has got more airflow, more heat sink, better power distribution network in it than what you had before. So, brother, I hope you appreciate it. It was a lot of work and a lot of fun. Very busy, and I'm sorry it took me so long to be able to get around to where I could get this done for you. I apologize once again publicly in front of God, Jesus, and the Holy Ghost. My intention was never to blow you off. I've just got a ton of work going on, and it is a crazy train to which that I am on over here every single day. So, man, I hope I did your project justice. But this and I and this thing, we are done. I'm going to put the screws in it. I'm not going to bother with a warranty sticker on it because I know this lid's going to be off quite a bit because you are going to use it as a comp box. And before it leaves here, I'll make sure to spread a very thin layer of clear on it so the amp always looks pretty and pristine like this until the end of time. But my friend, I truly think we have built you a masterpiece. This thing is freaking beautiful and sick. You got 150 something likes on just this build alone on Facebook. People's tongues are hanging out and they're dragging on the ground. Use it well. Hopefully you win a lot of trophies, have a lot of fun, get bragging rights with all your buddies. Gentlemen, my name is BBI, and without a shadow of a doubt, I am this biggest mud duck out here in Idaho. Come check us out, www.bbiamps.com. Come find me on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, and right here on the YouTube Gargler. First time you've ever watched any one of these crazy RF radio amplifier videos, and you like my presentation style, click subscribe. Make sure to hit the notification button so you can follow along with everybody else. Guys, I appreciate all the support. I've got to go. I've got a lot of other people I got to try and make happy here in this next couple weeks. Bump, bump from the biggest duck in Idaho. I'll see ya. Bye.